Welcome everybody to Your Desired Success Foundation Mastermind, all focused around paying it forward with the golden rule, which is do unto others as you would have done unto you. We are going to be sharing our knowledge, our experience, our value to help each other move forward and win at the game of life. Now, Napoleon Hill here, the power of the mastermind, when he was talking about the principle, said, it is the principle through which you may borrow and use the education, the experience, the influence, and perhaps the capital of other people in carrying out your own plans in life. It is the principle through which you can accomplish in 1 year more than you could accomplish without it in a lifetime if you depended entirely on your own efforts for success. Just think about the power of that. This is why we are here today, to support each other. So let's start with the foundation of the mastermind so we're all clear on how we're going to move forward today. Veronica.
The purpose of the mastermind is to share our value and connect with like-minded people in order to create wealth in all areas of our lives.
We are here to inspire and challenge each other to reach and exceed goals.
Each member is committed to their own success, as well as the success of every member of the group.
We are committed to meeting in person or virtually for 1 hour every week.
We are present. There is no multitasking or distractions during meetings.
Ooh.
Right. Sorry about that. We are collaborative. We listen without interrupting, lecturing, or judging.
Who was 7? Lynette?
I was 8.
Carly? No.
I'll go 7.
Who was 7? Okay, Lynette, you go.
We celebrate each other's successes without jealousy.
I was 9, but shall I do this one?
Yeah, you go. Just go as in your 9s, 10s, and so on.
Okay. We are honest and participate by giving thoughtful feedback.
After
I'll
Hillary.
do this one as well. No? Shall I do this one as well?
Go on, Hillary. Yeah.
Okay. We are open and listen to different perspectives without being defensive or offering excuses.
We trust fellow members enough to share fully.
We are focused.
Veronica.
We are real and authentic. This is a no BS zone.
We allow ourselves to become completely aligned with each other and the high forces, one mind, one soul, one love.
Wonderful. Thank you, ladies. And Eva, you got it this week. You got the famous last one there, setting the beautiful tone of us coming together. So well done, you. As I said, my mum sent me a private direct message and it says, you are looking very handsome today, darling. Yes, I am, mother. Yes, I am. Thank you. As if my ego needs to be filled anymore. Okay, so today we've got some, we've lost Carly. Today we've got some incredible value around the power of the mastermind. So the power of the mastermind, we are in the power of the mastermind, but the subconscious mind. Now, I asked earlier who's done some work around the subconscious, and we had about 70% of the room put their hands up. And then from a point of who would be able to share more about it, we had a couple of people. So let's leverage, for all of us that aren't confident, let's say, to stand up on stage and deliver a presentation, or let's leverage the value, the knowledge, the experience from somebody who is. So who would like to go first, who's confident to share maybe a minute or two around the subconscious mind that you've received and learned? I know there was Veronica and Carly put their hands up. So Veronica's out the blocks first.
Well, the subconscious mind is pretty much, if anyone's tuned in to Transform and Prosper Mastermind, that's pretty much what we go on about, because Gary's training is all about the subconscious mind and using it. He even has a process, and I have the process now as well, where you can name your subconscious mind and make friends with it and ask it questions. And that's extremely powerful before you go to bed, and you can wake up and solve problems. because our subconscious mind is way more powerful than our conscious mind, and it accumulates all the data that's going on around us, and our conscious mind only sees like 7% of it, but our subconscious mind absorbs all of it, and it will only allow to the surface what it thinks we are capable of dealing with. So we can leverage that power in hypnosis to access the subconscious mind, and it can even go back to childhood traumas and actually give you a different perspective on it and heal your pictures, sounds, and feelings around it, change it so that trauma disappears. The memory remains, but that charge behind it disappears. That's the power of the subconscious mind.
Yeah, wow. Thanks, Veronica. Who here, based on what Veronica shared there about Veronica and Gary's co-mastermind, who here would like to be on that? Who would like to dive a bit deeper? Because I've been on incredible value. So that's available to us all as well. Is there anybody else that would like to just share for a minute or two before we move on? Eva?
No. I think Veronica has just said just about everything that I thought of. And that it is very much a result of childhood, of parenting, and we live with it for the rest of our lives unless we become aware of it.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay, right. Well, let's dive into some of the areas of the book where he touches on in particular that certainly have resonated with me. And if you hear any crying in the background, there is nothing to concern yourself with. There is just a 6-year-old staffy boy wanting his dinner, and he's very vocal. And mummy is out, so he's going to starve because I'm starving as well. So Beth might come back and there'll just be 3 skeletons here, 2 dogs and me. So you'll see the age through this call. So the subconscious mind consists of a field of consciousness in which every impulse of thought that reaches the objective mind through any of the 5 senses, remember the 5 senses, is classified and recorded, and from which thoughts may be recalled or withdrawn as letters may be taken from a filing cabinet. Exactly what was shared there from Veronica and Eva, then touching on, especially as children, what we're picking on. And remember the senses, the smell, the feel, the hearing, and so on. It receives them flies, sense impressions, or thoughts, regardless of their nature. You may voluntarily plant in your subconscious mind any plan, thought, or purpose which you desire to translate into its physically or monetary equivalent. The subconscious acts first on the dominating desires, which have been mixed with emotional feeling, such as faith. Now then, as I was reading this, and obviously the floor's always open because this isn't a call with Martin Ball, this is our call. As I was reading this, I was just starting to realize, and so much has been coming over the last several months of really engaging in these calls and other calls that I attend within the YDS and NG community. I've really been receiving a lot of information about the way that if I choose to think of a negative thought, that is what the subconscious is going to start fertilizing and encouraging it to grow. Whereas if I think on a positive thought, that's what's going to come up. But when we look in society, most things around us media-wise, most people, based on the high percentage of people choosing to listen to media or follow things, look at what's happening in the world right now around COVID. Whatever your beliefs are on COVID, whether you're on the left or on the right, whatever it is, it's irrelevant. The angle of it is what are we allowing to come in? What are we nurturing to grow and blossom that is going to have an effect on us? And this is the way that I've started looking at my life, because I remember saying to a friend of mine, I'm going to get cancer. And she had cancer twice. And she started freaking out because she's very holistic. And she was like, you realize that you are going to get cancer because you're thinking that way. And I went, I know, but I can't get it out of my head. And what I realized was a lot of what I was doing was I was in the environment of working with people with cancer. And all my time was being spent researching around that and looking at things, but I was actually letting it consume me. And I was negatively letting it consume me instead of trying to stay on the positive side. I was getting to a stage of worry. well, that's naturally going to grow and manifest into something that, you know, is the most feared word in the world, in every language. So I realized that I had to be very conscious of the way that I was communicating to myself, to my subconscious, and what I was letting nurture and grow. Is there anybody who wants to touch on either what I've shared or what I just said then around that first part? Yes, Veronica and Carly.
Let Carly go first because I've already had a piece.
Well, I was just going to say it's a bit like COVID. You know, like we're right in the middle of COVID and people are in fear before they've got the problem. Then they get the problem and they're in even more fear, and then everyone around them's in fear and they all, you know, get it. My friend, we came back from India right on the COVID lockdown in 2020, I'm trying to say. And when that happened, she had every symptom possible, even 2 nights of not being able to breathe, full chest thing, everything. And she got tested 3 times and did not have COVID.
Mm.
And the whole time she thought they got it wrong.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, wow. It's very interesting. You know, especially watching. I don't know what it's like in other places around the world, but certainly in Perth, we had it where they were talking about a 3 or 5 day lockdown and people were punching each other over toilet roll. Like, it was ridiculous. Like, actually in the shops, didn't matter whether you're a female, you know, a senior, people were punching people over toilet roll. Like that, you only do that when you're in a state of fear, when you're totally out of control. And who's creating that? You know, like you look externally, the fear's been put on, and because people, in many cases, not every case, but because a lot of people are living unconsciously, they are just acting. They're just acting out. They're not aware of their actions. It's just all fear-based. They are being driven. It's kind of like there's somebody inside just pulling the levers, and they're in not control ever. And they go, "Ooh, there's a red shiny one that's flashing. What does that one do?" Boom.
It's kind of like a herd consciousness, isn't it? And it's incredibly contagious, and reason seems to fly out the window, to be replaced by, well, we've got to do as we're told, otherwise, you know, it's going to do this, whatever. We've just gone into lockdown, and we went into lockdown with 1 case in Auckland, you know, 2 nights ago. And you know, she's done her thing. You know, she likes to lead the world with her prevention, and you know, it may have well been the best thing to do, but it just got me how complacent everybody is. And now the news every night, I just had to go to bed after last night's news. You know, it's just so ridiculously negative, you know, crazy. Yeah. So, and, you know, you were talking about cancer. My mum was like this, you know, she was a great doom merchant and drama queen, sometimes a bit of comedy, but mainly drama. And she used to, you know, always, she was so absolutely obsessed with cancer that eventually she managed to get a little bit, you know, she had a tiny bit in her bowel, and which they removed, which was no problem. But, you know, it's just incredible. And she had no idea what she was doing, you know, to herself with this constant, you know, drama. Her subconscious mind was full of absolute negativity, you know. It's interesting. Yeah.
It is interesting that, Julie, and I've been, has anybody here read or listened to the audio? And I've noticed your hand up, Dorothy. I haven't forgotten about you. Has anybody here read or listened to the audio of Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek? Absolutely fantastic book or audio. Highly recommend it.
What is it?
It's called Leaders Eat Last. By Simon Sinek, S-I-N-E-K. I could listen to Simon all day long, and Simon actually touches on the different generations and why the generations, especially the baby boomers, like the generation before them, then into the baby boomers, then as we move into Gen Y and Gen X and Gen Y and the millennials, exactly why there's so much frustration across the different generations. The way that things were is, it's absolutely incredible to hear that. And this is just part of a chapter over about an hour that on an audio that we listened to while we're driving. And I'm just sat there in amazement, but also at the fact of, I was fortunate to more so my dad's mum and dad. I was fortunate to be around them a fair amount and witness my dad and my mum and that generation, then my own generation, and then the millennials. So I'm listening to all this and I'm going, wow, I can now connect the dots. And when we can connect the dots, we're able to start seeing why most people will act the way that they act based on the generation behavior that was passed on. And there's this resistance, massive resistance throughout the generations. And because the times are changing, and what suited the industry or the industrial age doesn't suit today. But the systems haven't evolved. A great example of this is the schooling system. The schooling system has not evolved into what today is. I can see Eva and Julia are like, you know, praising the Lord right now.
Yes. That's what we do here.
So this is why we have this frustration, I feel. And but Dorothy, I wanted to give you an opportunity there to speak if you're available.
Yes, I wanted to share. Hi, I just came out of the water a few minutes ago. That's why I was hidden. But now with wet hair, I try to be on vision. That's better to share. I as a craniosacral therapist, am working a lot with people that are bounced by the tragedy of fear that happens in the family, that happens in their own body. And I am working a lot.
Oh, you've muted yourself, Dorothy. There you go, you're back. Yep, you're okay.
More on the cellular level, because what I experienced even in my own life is that the stress and the pain is not always only in the subconscious, that brings over our emotions, but it's more or less also on the bacteria level of our microbiome. So there is a lot of research on this topic, how far the microbiome is giving result or giving I'm missing the nice words now. So it's impressing how much the microbiome is in contact to our emotions and our conscious brain. So if we start to build up our microbiome, there is also a good chance to balance our emotional stress level. And this brings kind of trust in the body. So this is really something I'm quite new in G, but I would love to make a master class and a mastermind about these topics, because just yesterday I came into the on the topic of physical health by Mark in the 30-day challenge, and I was thrilled again how much important it is to care even for this level in order to find an abundant life. But because he's also pointing this abundancy without health is worth nothing, right? And on the other hand, lack of money is also some kind of sickness. So many people, including me in the past, were, because of the stress of money, financial situations on the existential level, are so much battled on the health field, so much fighting on the health field. So I guess this is a really
Oh, you've muted again.
Yes, somebody tries to call me. I'm always switching it off. So myself also was a cancer patient. And I knew from the beginning on that it would not harm me a lot, and that I did not want to identify with the word of tumor or cancer. When I was in the whole spiral of the doctors, researchers, and doing, they made a big thing out of it, and they cared very good for me. But finally, after operation, they said it was nearly nothing. We could have dealt differently with it, but we didn't know, because we have not seen such an outcome with a stomach cancer like this. Usually it is a catastrophe. And for me, it was nearly nothing. But they took out a part of my stomach in order to be safe and to know better. But from the first day on, when they told me, and it was out of order to expect this, they handled me like a cancer patient. And I always, in my subconscious mind, has to replace this word in order to say, I am not a cancer patient. I might have this obvious problem here now, and we will see how far it will go, but I am not sick of cancer. And this difference was very important for me in order to go through the whole spiral of all that had to happen there. And it was not fun, but what carried me through was the determined thought not to identify with the diagnosis. And also to understand that it's doctors' work to do this diagnosis. If they wouldn't have seen this in the early stage, it could have become a problem for me. Maybe it would have been gone also on its own, I don't know. But the key point is not to identify with it. And in order to be able mentally and emotionally strong enough to do this, we have to care a lot for our physical health on the cellular level. This is another field about immunological science I would like to bring into NG if there is openness for it. This is not what I want to say now, but important is that that fear is not only something that is impressed from outside. It mostly is something that is impressed from inside, because my mother, for example, she had cancer. Yes.
Yeah, there's a fear there that you may get it.
Yes, because in a way we follow unconsciously. And if we don't face these things in order to make them smaller and smaller and smaller for the next generation, still smaller, even the abundance theme or the lack of money theme, trying to take it, to see it, and to make it smaller, not just for myself, but for the whole generations that will come. And even for those who have left already, to take the burden out of them. So unconscious field is very important topic, and I'm glad that you're picking it up.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing, Dorothy. A lot of value there. Hey, Holly, good to see you with us. Yeah, there's a lot of things that Dorothy shared there are actually like snippets throughout the chapter. But there's something that I was going through the other day with, I really have been resonating a lot with Napoleon. And he gave the 12 things that constitute real riches. Has anybody heard of those 12 things before? The 12 things that constitute real riches. So first of all is a positive mental attitude. He said, if you don't have a positive mental attitude, the rest don't even count. That's the first thing. So, and that's a simple thing to start looking at each day. How am I choosing to think about myself? How am I choosing to show up? What could I do? And we're going to get to it in a bit around what can I do to surround my environment in that way. Second was sound physical health. Third, harmony in human relations. Fourth, freedom from fear. Fifth, the hope of a future achievement. Sixth, the capacity for applied faith. Seventh, willingness to share one's blessings with others. Eighth, to be engaged in a labor of love. 9, an open mind on all subjects toward all people. 10, complete self-discipline. 11, wisdom to understand people. And 12, financial security. Now, Napoleon made a strong point when he was sharing this and said, notice how financial security is 12th, not first. But what is the society are most people attracted to? Money. And they think that's going to solve all the problems. But like he says, if you don't get the other 11 first right, 12th is the financial one. And I always share this, success leaves clues. So we're constantly looking for the information, but success leaves clues. So why don't we follow those people who have shared what's worked for them? And I know that some of this stuff is from the 1920s, but there's no new eternal truths. Eternal truths are eternal truths. It's like you can't actually go out there and create antiques. Antiques are old. Antiques are antiques. Be cautious of the man selling new antiques because they're not new. Like these are these things. And Wayne Dyer said so beautifully, and this goes back to what Dorothy had shared before. Jesus, whether you believe in these stories or not, Jesus, when he went into the towns where there was sickness, didn't go in and say, oh, you've got this, you've got 13 weeks to live. Oh, you've got this, I'll give you a year. Oh, you've only got a couple of days. Jesus went in with a higher vibration, with a higher energy, and brought that in and shared that and gave that to people. His intention was to share that love and energy. Whether it's just a story to some of us or whether it's our internal truth is irrelevant. The focus of it is that this can take place. And Wayne Dyer, when he was diagnosed with systemic chronic leukemia, he was like, what does that mean? And they said, there's no cure for it. And his family was saying, you know, you're sick. And he said, what part of I am well do you not understand? And he said to himself every day, I am well. And they said, Dad, you've been diagnosed with this. I am well. That's all that matters to me. Even though I have acquired this, I can let go of it. It's come to me for a reason. And he did, and he beat it, even though the doctors said he wouldn't. And I think this is where it's really important that there's so many messages out there that not only can inspire us, but if we look for the true lesson within them, they can help us start looking at what we're doing on a daily basis and how we can elevate our vibration to start truly moving in the direction we want to go.
I could just add to that, Martin, that,
yeah,
you know, it's so important. And these days it's really exciting because there's a whole new awareness of healing and the power of the mind to play an important role in that healing. But it's interesting too, because of the opposite. You know, my ex-husband has just been diagnosed with stage 4 and all over the place. And, you know, they kept going back and saying, oh, well, we need to have a time. And I thought, so you're going there for a death sentence? You know, it wasn't a diagnosis, it was a death sentence. And, you know, then that's it. You know, there's a give up. And yet you get people like Dyer and many people. And there's a lot more than we even know, you know, that it's happening to all the time. And so that has to be the way, you know, they're handling it, like Dorothy said.
Yeah, beautifully shared, and we wish him well, Julie. Thanks for.
Oh, I wish him well too, but you know, there's only so much you can do because people are already convinced. You know, they're stuck. They're stuck in the belief system that's common.
I want to also give anybody else who's not spoken the opportunity while we dive into this bit now, and this is in capital letters. Okay, so we really need to pay attention. I'm not going to shout it, but it's in capitals. So. The subconscious mind works day and night. Think about that. The subconscious mind works day and night through a method of procedure unknown to man. It's probably known to women, but unknown to man. The subconscious mind draws upon the forces of infinite intelligence. I'm speaking now Carly's language right now, so we'll probably have Carly ready to share here. The subconscious mind draws upon the forces of infinite intelligence for the power with which it voluntarily transmutes one's desires into their physical equivalent, making use always of the most practical media by which this end may be accomplished. Now listen to this part. You cannot entirely control your subconscious mind, but you can voluntarily hand over to it any plan, desire, or purpose which you wish transformed into the concrete form. And then if we go to, you can tell I've been doing my own work here. I'm fantastic. This bit, 96. Writing. This is a workbook for me. The old me would have freaked out. So here we go. Number 2. Okay. Recall what has been said about the subconscious mind resembling a fertile garden spot in which weeds will grow in abundance if the seeds of more desirable crops are not sown there. This takes us back to auto-suggestion, the way we're communicating to ourselves. So remember what I just read to you. You cannot entirely control your subconscious mind, but you can voluntarily hand it over to any plan, desire, or purpose which you wish transformed into the concrete mind. Recall what has been said about the subconscious mind resembling a fertile garden spot in which weeds will grow in abundance if the seeds of more desirable crops are not sown therein. Now, who wants to share? Because that's huge. Like, I'm excited about that. So somebody must have some value they wish to share with the community. I can't believe I'm in a room full of females and nobody is willing to share.
I've always known that. I've always known that. You got to plant the right seeds. Yes, and like use the compost.
I was just going to say, you know, like it comes back to that relationship with our inner sanctum and our alignment with the divine infinite intelligence. But realistically, because we're here right now, you know, it's like tapping into the subconscious mind of the imagination, the inner child, the joy, the parts of us that we do tap into, we're just not always aware of. But as we get older, we start to want that relationship at a different, deeper level. And that takes us to the infinite source. When we're 19, 15, 20, we're in it and we're probably so used to it, we don't even recognize that we've left it until we've gone deep down into some sort of pain and suffering and then know we've left it. You know, it sort of happens. It's a bit like any major trauma and habit. You get stuck in the fear and it's a year later you realize you've left yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, beautifully shared. She's just got such an incredible way of sharing as Carly. Anybody else want to follow on from Carly? There was something that I heard Jim Rohn say one time, and there was a guy walking down the road, and as he's walking down, he noticed over the wall a beautiful garden, and there was a guy working on his garden, and he said, "You and the Lord have a beautiful garden." And the guy responded back, "You should see it when only the Lord's in charge of it." Which just goes to show the power of and the importance of us being there and doing the work. If we don't do the work, are we going to be surrounded by a load of weeds? So how are we making sure that everything around us is remaining fertile based on the way that we want it to be? And we can look at this in regards to our relationships. You know, I know that I've got relationships in my life that are challenging. You know, I am no better than anybody else. I am experiencing the same kind of things. And it's a look and go, okay, at one point in my life, you know, I would have been bitter. I'd have been saying nasty things about these people. I'd been frustrated. I may have even wanted to fight some of them. But as we evolve through it, I've now realized and gone, thank you for being a teacher to me. Thank you for showing the way I don't want to show up in the world. Because without you behaving that way, I wouldn't know the way that I didn't want to be. And these are constantly lessons that are helping that information come in. and in a way empowering us. But we can only choose to be empowered or disempowered. Everything is our choice. So that information that's coming in and we're choosing to accept, then how are we going to nurture it to help it grow? Veronica.
Yes, the importance of what we're planting into our subconscious mind with our conscious mind and our language is vital. And I'd like to tie it back in with what you were saying about what we were talking about with the fear that that is affecting a lot of people. It's because we are all connected, and if you're empathic, it's important to feel for other people, but realize that it's still their pain. It's not your pain, because you can't help them if you're feeling it as well. But we can help everybody. Just a small proportion is all it takes for us to raise our vibration to help those who are in fear.
100%, 100%. I think the Dalai Lama said that if school children were to meditate for an hour a week, then they would shift the consciousness of a generation over the generation. Like if they were just doing it an hour a week. Well, my ex-partner Lauren, she used to work in a school, primary school, before she had a child, and she actually created the meditation space. We bought these huge leaves. They were massive green leaves, and we put them in the corner. We put all cushions in there. And if the children were good in a class, they were 9-year-olds. If the children were good in the class, they got to go and sit on the cushion and meditate. Well, you can imagine for a kid to be sat there, the legs crossed going, you know, it's a bit of fun for them. But they actually, she said, the difference she noticed was the kids wanted to behave, to have that time to go and meditate. And she'd put on some soft music and she'd have them just like, she'd talk to them and help and expand their mind, because that's the way that Lauren was thinking. But the school didn't agree with that way of doing it. You see how like there's teachers out there who are wanting to help it evolve, but are constantly being pulled back. And it obviously it needs more say around that. But it's fear, really. It's fear driven of the unknown. And Napoleon here around the subconscious said about where have I got it now? He touched on, and I actually bent my page. That's how committed I am to this bit. I bent my page. So my OC is going over the top here. So he said here around the 7 major positive emotions, the emotion of desire. So remember when I started this call, for those of you who are with us, I said about what my belief around the power of sex transmutation. So everything is constantly, Napoleon constantly pulls back to the desire. If you don't have a burning desire, there was a brilliant blog written by Diane Ridley this last week in the Your Desired Success community. If you go into the Facebook group there, you'll be able to access it. And she spoke about how she's only realized the difference between a desire and a burning desire. Like she's in her 50s, and she said, I thought I knew the difference, and it's only just landed through these calls. Now, I said about she's in her 50s from an angle of that she's not, you know, just come out of school. She's been doing these things, thinking she's doing it the right way. And now it's only being surrounded by this and these conversations, the pennies dropping, because the people, and she shares this, the people you surround yourself with that you think are helping you get to where you want to get to often aren't, because they're not willing to challenge themselves. My family and friends, apart from my mum, none of my mates I grew up with, and none of my family members apart from my mum, are doing anything to do with personal development.
Oh, wow.
Think of the power of that. Like, just think of the power. So my mum, and I've watched my mum grow. I am so proud of the person my mum's become and becoming. Now, as a son, there's only one thing that can happen for me from that. I'm inspired to become more. But I also know that on the other hand, it's my mum that has seen my growth, that has inspired her to challenge herself to become more. At her stage in life, when most people are getting to that point and they're going, time for me to retire and sit back and enjoy the golden years. Well, is it really? Because there's still a lot of energy. I'm sure Eva would say there's still a lot in me that I've got to give here and I want to receive.
Okay.
So these are those things where we look at it and go, wow, desire is so important to get clear on it. The emotion of faith, the emotion of love, the emotion of sex, the emotion, notice these are emotions, the emotion of enthusiasm, the emotion of romance, the emotion of hope. Okay, notice them. He said the 7 major positive emotions. He said there are other positive emotions, but these are the 7 most powerful and the ones most commonly used in creative effort. Master these 7 emotions. They can be mastered only by use. Remember, the difference between what I'm sharing with you right now is an intellectual understanding. When you implement them and connect with them, they become a spiritual understanding. The power of use. And the other positive emotions will be at your command when you need them. They'll automatically come up as you're walking through life. Remember in this connection that you are studying a book which is intended to help you develop, and this is around the book, a money consciousness by filling your mind with positive emotions. One does not become money conscious by filling one's mind with negative emotions. I am poor, I am not worthy. They always achieve the success. I'm unfortunate. I was dealt the wrong cards. My family didn't, I wasn't born with a silver spoon. You know what Les Brown said about that? For those of you who know Les Brown or have heard of his story, him and his brother were adopted by a lady who couldn't rub 2 shillings together. And he became a multimillionaire. He's a motivational speaker. And he was talking about Donald Trump. And he said, Donald Trump was born with a silver spoon. I was born with sugarcane. Which one would you rather swallow? He said, the sugar, because you'll choke on the spoon. He said, I'm the one that was fortunate because I started with nothing and was able to grow and build and become more. Those who are born with a silver spoon don't understand the pressure and the stress and what it takes. What a beautiful way to look at it. Because the only way, especially when we're coming from a place of what we would class as a higher vibration, to make a positive impact in other people's lives, the only way I can understand somebody, what they're going through, is if I've been through it myself, truly understand. Yeah. So when people reach out to me around the depression, the suicide and all that kind of stuff, I have a higher level of ability than a psychologist or psychiatrist that's learned from a book. Why? Because I have a spiritual understanding. Because I've been through that pain. I can emotionally connect with that person. Not, what did the textbook tell me to do next? Think of the power of that, which then allows us to go right the way back and look and go, so everything in my life that's happened truly did happen for me. It's helped me become the person I am. That guy that I dated, because we're on a call full of ladies, or if you dated a lady, I don't know, but one should never assume and one should certainly never judge. But whatever it is, and you turn around and go, oh, they were and excuse my language here, ladies, they were a dickhead. Well, maybe they were exactly what you needed to learn the lesson that you needed to take you to the next level of your life, to be a better person for the person that was ready to come into your life. I know right now that my mom loved my dad, but she also wanted to strangle his neck. And I can see why she loved him, and I can also see why she want to strangle his neck. Well, and she didn't. Well, not that I know of, but I'll have to ask my dad. But the point being is that everything has helped mold us and create us into somebody who is able to step up to the table when that time comes. And when we choose to embrace that and receive it for its true, beautiful gift, we're really able to not only help make an impact in the world on a greater scale with people around us, but more importantly, we're able to make a greater impact on ourselves. Because that's how it really blows over there. Dorothy, your hands come up again.
Yes. Yes, I go with everything you say, and I thank you for all your sharings. There is I would like to strike on one theme that I'm sometimes still inside struggling for myself with, and I'm try to share it not in order to bring up discomfort in the mind, but also maybe because maybe other people also have the same theme. I am in my mental development. I'm coming from an old yoga tradition. And in this yoga tradition from India, I learned more about the incorporeal aspects of life. And it was like feeling just the inner richness without needing anything outside. So the point of desire is a very delicate point. I always when I started network a few years ago, the first thing that came up in my mind when somebody asked me, what are your dreams? What are your visions? What are your aims? I felt, well, I rather feel I should wake up instead of having dreams. So this was my cognitive reaction. But in the second mood, I definitely felt, sure, I have dreams, but I don't dare to stick to them. So now, since a few years, definitely I'm following goals and dreams and visions. But when I read from Napoleon Hill the point about the burning desire, there's still some voice in the backside of my head that is saying, well, but it's also important just to be content with what is. So how to deal with the fact of the burning desire if you also have to work on your stability and contentment with and your gratitude for what is. So there is still a gap for me between, at least in my emotions, and I would like to get deeper into it. Can you give an explanation for it?
You would like to give an explanation? Did you say?
No, you maybe. Can
Veronica?
you give?
Well, Veronica's put her hand up, so Veronica.
Yeah.
Dorothy, I would recommend reading Think and Grow Rich for women, because it comes from a completely different perspective, and it kind of helps to align that burning desire a lot more, because all the examples in that book is about women who want to make a contribution, and that is their burning desire. And to do that, they've become successful and they've become powerful and they've become extremely rich, simply because they want to be able to contribute more.
Yes, sure. I'm reading this book. I've just started it and I'm fully there. I also want to reach the phase of more abundance, not just for myself. This is totally clear. So on a, let's say, empathic or overlooking level, it's fine. But the inner struggle is there with these conditions, with these imprints, that burning desire is always coming out of something that you are not able to deal with what is. I would just like to have a look at it. It's not that I don't understand, and but I feel I'm still a little bit standing on the brakes for myself out of this reason. And I would like, I appreciate your comment, because this is important for me, and it kicks me also, but still, I guess it's a theme, maybe not also me, but also other people in the deep unconscious level are still not clear about, and I guess it needs a lot of angles to look at it.
I'd like to just step in there too, because I think it's the same generation, and slightly, where it was almost the kind of hippie season to let go of anything that was too, well, not even hippie or yoga or whatever. I think it's just the use of language, and burning desire kind of paints this picture of desperation, you know, and you know, gotta have it. It's kind of a little bit kind of forced, Yeah, I think that goes back to just the language use and our conditioning with that use, you know. Burning desire. Also, I was thinking with your sex transmutation, that is also a little bit around that, isn't it? That burning desire was seen as something that was kind of negative and overdone, and instead of being peaceful and letting go, you know. But I think they can be combined.
Yes, I'm
Absolutely.
working on that.
Yeah, or just reframed actually, or seen as a different thing, because I think a burning desire just means a strong will to good, and like the book says with the woman's book, is that it was just this passion to serve, you know, which was a burning desire. So yeah, I think it's just a funny use that's stuck in our heads from our conditioning of the word burning desire.
Yeah, thanks, Julie. Rosa?
Yeah, I understand completely where Dorothy's coming from, because I am a very content person, but I don't understand how to stay content when I'm also got a desire that I really want, and I feel that I'm standing in my own way because I cannot stay completely content because this thing isn't coming quick enough. So I'm between they used to say the devil and the deep blue sea. I don't know what word I'll talk. So it's hard to stay. It's hard to stay content when you are trying to achieve your desire. And I think that's where Dorothy's coming from, because I certainly struggle with that aspect. But I am naturally a very content person. So, but when I ask for something or want something, I expect it's the Italian in me. I expect it immediately, if not sooner. So this is where I definitely struggle.
May I say something else? By your sharings, just a picture came up for me. I just became grandma, and I can observe my grandchild that since it's 9 months now, that since a few weeks is burning for desire to run. So in a way, I can understand better now my own question, because burning desire means growth into the bigger self we are, into the potential we have. And if we don't have this burning desire, we don't learn, we don't transform. Maybe this is a good part I just catch now deeper in this question.
Could it be a passionate calling?
Yeah.
A passionate calling, you know, that's just instinctive.
Mm.
Carly,
and how often
you've got your hands up.
And I guess very often, let me finish this sentence, sorry. Very often we hear from our parents, be content what we have, right? And I sometimes say it also to my daughters. And still on the other hand, I encourage everyone for growth. So it's a tricky thing.
Carly, thanks, Dorothy.
Does Yanni want to speak? Because I don't think she's spoke yet.
Hi, thank you. Yes, and I think it's just a change of paradigm, like this chapter said, where it says positive and negative emotions cannot occupy the mind at the same time. One or the others must dominate. It is your responsibility to make sure that the positive emotions constitute the dominating influence of your mind. Here is the love of habit that will come into aid. So I believe in the changing of paradigm. You already planted that seed. Now with the habit of, you know, your positive affirmation, your new awareness, you will just need to wait for that seed to grow. The more you water it, and every day, it makes a big difference of you already know what you want and you're still not in the evolution of the changing of your paradigm. So it's allowing yourself to grow into it and maintaining there.
Yeah, great share there, Yanni. Thank you. Thank you. Carly.
Yeah, thank you, Yanni, because it's like any, I mean, it doesn't matter what the word is, it's where you sit in the word. So desire, if you can accept desire as the divine in you, is the same, is the design and like desire and divine in me? Or do you see desire as a negative? So, you know, like a polarity of a dark shadow, a light shadow. So it really depends where you sit in the shadow of it. When you own and accept every word that we've been given as some sort of usefulness that steps you into limitless potential, then you're in the harmony and balance of the divine intelligence. So I hope that makes sense. But yeah, so basically when we can accept that judgment is still okay as well, that it's actually a discernment, the polarity in that brings you back into unconditional love, because we need both sides of the polarity. So if it's desire and it's passion and it's to collaborate with a wider community to change the world, and that desire gets you awake every day with your big why, and in that you have a selfish why, whatever your selfish why behind that, that's still going towards your internal passion to get you to awaken every day. So you need both. You need the selfish why and the big why for the collaborative collective, because without it, you're one-sided, and in the one-sidedness, you're not in full sovereign alignment with divine intelligence, with your soul, and why you really call yourself unconditional love.
Yeah, beautiful share there, Carly. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. There was Carly touched on it there, and we had this. It was really interesting just being observant to the reactions of some people when others were sharing their desire, especially when I was sharing mine. I noticed some people like in amazement at some of the figures that I put out there, and I've always, even when I used to be a carpenter and builder, money's always come to me. Okay, so it's always come in, because it was never about the money. It was about what the service I was providing, the intention behind what I was creating. Now, the money, the figures that I was talking about in my desire that I read every morning and every evening before I go to bed and when I get up in the morning, the figure doesn't excite me. Those numbers that I see do not excite me. Now, to the person who's got my number on WhatsApp and is messaging me about the crypto thing to join and is just basically spamming the hell out of me and how in 3 days I'm going to earn $50,000. To them, they have no concept of what riches actually is. All that they're in is in a very materialistic world of money, money, money. Because I was asking questions and I said, what is your mission? My mission is to make you and your family wealthy. Really? You don't even know me. What's my name? I don't know. I just got your number from a group. Okay, that's not a very good start. What is your vision to make sure that I live a good life? That isn't exciting me right now. So do you see like the importance of, it's not about impressing other people, but the people that I want to be surrounded by are people that are raising their vibration that is naturally going to organically raise mine. Because for me to create the impact in the world that I desire to create, I need to be challenging myself to become more. I need to be putting myself around people who have huge goals and dreams. And it's not the money. The $120,000 minimum per month that I was speaking about by January doesn't excite me. But that $120,000 going towards creating an animal sanctuary where we're able to help animals and we're able to give people who are very passionate about animals a place where they can come and work and serve the animals as they desire to do so their cup's filled every day, does fill my heart with power. Do you see how it's the shift? The 2,400 minimum people we're going to help in the vault before January. It's not about the 2,400 number. It's about the people who are going to receive the value to help them on their journey towards achieving their desired success. And this is where it separates the materialistic social media BS, in all fairness, because most people are vibrating at such a low level that they don't even realize that it's their fears, everything from their childhood, they're trying to push out there and they're trying to break free of, but they're trying to break free of it with a low vibration because they're not willing to do the work. And like Napoleon said in his book, it takes time. In this chapter, he says, it takes time to shift that, to start bringing in those positive thoughts and the communication, the auto-suggestion. It takes time. If you've not read the Working with the Laws by Raymond Hollowell, I highly recommend you do. One of the laws there, the law of forgiveness, the hardest law, I believe, to practice day in, day out, to people from your past and your present and even to yourself. One of the hardest laws to actually action. But when you do, I'm telling you right now, there is a magnitude of energy that fills your heart and you ooze it out and people feel that. I'm getting goosebumps right now because when I chose to action it, everything changed for me. I didn't realize, and Wayne Dyer said it, it's not the snake bite that kills you. It's the poison, the venom from the snake bite that courses through your veins and eventually gets you. Think of the power of that in the way we communicate with ourselves. It isn't the one, oh, I'm going to eat this cake and I'm going to get fat and explode, that's going to kill you. It's the, oh, I'm going to eat this cake every day for the next 20, 30 years. And all of a sudden you look in the mirror and go, what the hell happened? Like these are constant, this is the compound effect. And I'm using a cake as an example, but let's think about something far greater. The power of the thoughts, the power of the communication, the power of the way that we let other people's opinions control the way we choose to live. Now we've all got an opportunity to go, okay, thank you, but that's not going to be my reality moving forward. And that's why it's so important that these calls take place. It's so important to basically immerse yourself in this kind of information, content, people who are working together collaboratively from a place of an open heart to help each other succeed with no financial benefit from each other. I'll just throw that in. With no financial benefit, I'll only help you if I know I'm going to get something in return. Then you're not really bothered about helping people. There's going to be times where you may get financial benefit, but the question to ask is, am I showing up with integrity? Am I showing up the way that I want to be seen and viewed by other people? And am I showing up the way that I would expect somebody else to show up in my life? And if the answer is yes to them, you are striving forward and you are attracting, you're a magnet, attracting people and helping rise their vibration, which indirectly will help them get to where they want to go. It's such a beautiful, empowering place to be. I shared this on another call. Carly was sponsored into a business by somebody who turned around to her, who's conscious, who turned around to her and said that she would never achieve anything in the business. Carly's one of the most incredible, empowering, beautiful people I've ever met, whose growth has been phenomenal, and I've grown through Carly's presence. Think of the power of that. If Carly chose to listen to that person's opinions because she's successful in society, because of her consciousness, if she chose to accept what this lady had said to her, Carly may not be here right now, and we may not be receiving the value that Carly brings to these calls. But Carly chose to actually have a burning desire. Remember, this is clear, a burning desire to make a positive impact in the lives of others, to share what she's here to do. And that's why I always say, we are open, we are ready to receive your light, and your light is ready to shine brightly. Just step into it and let us help that light build. It's 100% why we're here. Ladies, I apologize for Carly, you've just unmuted yourself before we wrap this up. That's all right.
I just wanted to add, you don't know what other people have got unless you listen and hold space for them and really be there to acknowledge their value. And some people are so busy, like the crypto person, not being able to be there for the other people's true value. And you don't know what someone's got, what gold they've got, unless you are patient or, you know, wait and really honor them.
Yeah, beautifully shared, Carly. And that's one of the most important reasons why I believe, and I said this at the start of the call, the biggest thing I believe anybody will get out of these calls is communication. If you choose to listen and you choose to think rather than react. So there's a thing around reacting and responding. If you choose to come from a place of listening, processing that, okay, what does that mean to me? How does that sit? And then sharing it. Remember, the only reason two relationships collapse, but in human relationships, is because of a lack of understanding of expectations. I thought you were going to do this. Well, I thought you were going to do this. There was a lack of communication. And if we get clear on that communication, and especially if we express that, when people say to me, what's your mission, what's your vision, what's your burning desire? And I share that with them and they're able to go, oh, wow, okay. I now know where you want to go. I now know what's important to you. What are your core values? I'm now getting to know you. They then know how to be of service to me when I need it. But if I don't know theirs and I try and put my beliefs and my vision and my core values on them, I'm never going to get the true value of them. That's why with what we're going to be bringing in the next few weeks is getting clear on those foundations to help every single member move forward. So anybody who doesn't have a desire, who doesn't a burning desire, who doesn't have the goals set out, who doesn't have a clear vision or whatever it will be, everyone will be on a level playing field where they do have, and you will come to the call ignited. Every day you'll be ignited to go out there and serve. And in service, what happens? We get rewarded. It's a universal law. If you go out to give, you will receive. But you'll only receive based on what you desire to receive. Because there's abundance out there and it's ready to come in. But if you're not clear on what you want, you're probably going to get something you don't want. And then you go, nothing ever comes to me what I want. What do you want? I don't know. Well, how the hell does the universe know what to give you then? If you don't know, the universe is going to go, well, I've got a bit of this, I'll give you that. And then you go, well, I don't want that. Well, I'll give you a bit of this. And they go, I don't want that. And you go, the universe goes, well, what do you want? I don't know. Well, I'll tell you what, get on one of the Your Desired Success calls and figure it out. And then I would know what to give you. What about that for a plug? Throw that in. So this is so empowering a way to start receiving the value. I always encourage people, don't leave these calls and do nothing. That isn't the intention for these calls. The intention is to give you a place where you know it's safe, where you can build trust, where you build connections, where you can grow, but access the value that we've got there with the NG tools. There's a reason why we aligned with them. If you access them, I promise you, I know for a fact because of my own experience, you will grow. You will achieve your desired success. You will help other people. It will happen for you if you decide to move forward. Ladies, thank you so much for your time. I do apologize for going over. It's all on me. It's not on any of you. It's all on me. I'm taking ownership for that. But for those of you who are on the leaders call next for YDS, then we're on in 5 minutes. So I look forward to seeing you all then. Bye for now and enjoy the rest of the day.
Thanks very much. Thanks.
Right,
Bye.
cool. Thank you. Bye.